Well, as I mentioned just earlier, I'm sure that all Australians share the sense of despair confronting so many flood victims in New South Wales. They are described as floods, but many people who've been around a long time say they've never seen torrential rain like it. Sensibly, the federal government has declared the New South Wales floods a natural disaster. And I'm sure Australians, wherever they are, though they can't do much, are very much with the flood victims in spirit. The areas in question are metropolitan Sydney itself, the Hawkesbury, the Central Coast and the Illawarra. 50,000 people have been affected by evacuation orders, and as I speak to you, the rain continues to bucket down. The SES received more than 5,300 requests for assistance in the last 48 hours, and only last night alone, the State Emergency Service carried out 22 flood rescues. The Bureau of Meteorology has said that some areas have received up to 800 millimetres of rain over 4 days. In the old lingo, that's 32 inches, almost a metre of rain. The focus tonight is on the Central Coast and Lake Macquarie, through to Cessnock, up to the Newcastle area and the northern parts of the Hunter Valley. And more heavy rain is likely tomorrow on the mid-north coast up to Coffs Harbour. Rising floodwaters and storm damage have obviously caused significant power outages. 19,000 homes and businesses affected around Greater Sydney. I spoke to Janelle Saffin last night about the predicament in Lismore. She's the state Labor MP. They're still recovering from February floods, where people are still struggling to build a future, sleeping in rooms with no roof or sleeping in tents. Applications for financial assistance rejected because the applicant doesn't have appropriate documentation. Dumbbell bureaucrats unable to comprehend that victims lost everything in the floods, which includes proper documentation. There is a $500 million flood assistance package, but fewer than 20% of applicants for rental support have been paid out. And the Executive Director of Service New South Wales, Catherine Ellis, told the flood inquiry into Lismore that applicants were given 28 days to provide documentation. Now, if you had half a brain, you'd know the documentation doesn't exist. Walt Secord, the flood inquiry chairman, put to this Catherine Ellis from Service New South Wales, and I quote, "I put it to you that flood support and support from this government," that's the New South Wales government, "is a cruel hoax and you have no intention of providing support," unquote. Taxpayers want everything done to help struggling victims of flood, and they ask how it is possible that a grant system is designed where 64% of people who apply for a grant aren't eligible because they can't provide the paperwork. It was washed away in the floods.